Hey there, StarCraft fans! It's Falcon Paladin coming to you with yet another edition of StarCraft2 Legacy of the Void. Today it's going to be a ZVZ between Serral and Dark. This is the pinnacle of ZVZ from BlizzCon 2018. And if you clicked on this just because it was Serral versus Dark and you hate ZVZ, then you're in for a treat. Top right-hand corner, we have the red Zerg player, Serral. And in the bottom left-hand corner, the blue Zerg player, Dark. All right, so ZVZ action here. I know what you're saying. ZVZ Falcon is largely boring. It is. If it's just Ling Bling and then somebody gets a lucky Baneling hit in the first 5 minutes and it's over, sure, I don't want to watch that 100 times. If it's Roach Wars, also not that great, but once we get past about that 12 to 15 minute mark, get past that Roach stage, that's when things get interesting. Also, I was going to say, production tab looked empty for a second, but both players went for the hatch first. So that makes sense at about 17 supply. Both players are Sloverlord scouting. So this game, as you can see, is longer than 12 minutes. And as such, it will contain elements of ZVZ that are a lot of fun. We can see Ultralisks. We can see Lurkers. We can see Viper play with Blinding Cloud on top of Lurkers. We can see things like Mutalisks zipping around too. It's really not out of the question in any sense at all. Only the sound seems quiet. No, that's accurate. So, weird thing here, as both players are just going hatch gas pool, really nothing of note here in the early game. When I stream on Twitch versus when I record something for YouTube, the sound requirements are very different for StarCraft2. So right now, I have the sound volume overall at 32% here in the StarCraft client while I'm recording for YouTube, but if I try to stream to Twitch at that level, you just can't hear the music or the sound effects or anything. I need to bump it up to like 55%, which, I don't know, maybe somebody who knows a little bit about sound and Twitch and YouTube can explain it to me in the comments. But either way, this is just going to be a macro ZVZ, which is my favorite kind of ZVZ. I need to find a macro ZVZ for the Brood War fans. I need to find one of those. I've never cast one before. Okay. Alright, so yeah, basically send in your Overlord to make sure there's a hatchery, to see if early Lings are coming out. And the reason there's no Ling flooding right now is basically that Overlords can see it coming. You can throw down a wall, you can make some extra queens and a spine or two, and you can hold. You can hold against mass Sling as long as you're reasonably prepared for it and see it coming. Yeah, here we go. Third drone coming out to make a third hatch for Serral here, and there it is. There's your hatchery, and okay, Dark, you're going to go for that third hatch. Goes for the early lair here. He spends his resources on the lair. That's the first deviation we've seen with these two players to where they haven't exactly been mirrored in that production tab. Now, what does that mean for us? It means that Serral is going to be having a macro advantage here, an economic advantage against Dark, and Dark's going to have a technology advantage against Serral. So Serral is sending some Lings out here. It's not a huge number. He hasn't dedicated a whole ton. Is he trying to... Oh, that Overlord does get killed. The spotting Overlord for Dark, making sure the Queens could take it down. Walling off at the front here is Dark. He recognizes, okay, this is going to be what looks like enough Lings coming out that I'm worried about this on some level. The Queens are going to hold the wall, and yeah, he might actually, no, he's going to finish it. So it's Roach War and Evolution Chamber, Evolution Chamber. So 2-base Roach is what we're seeing here, and the scouting is really good. The Lings come up, they see the Roach Warren, they see the double Evolution Chamber, they see the lack of a third base. The Overlord placement here is pretty good for Serral, and nothing over here as well. So okay, it's going to be a 2-base Roach opener. That second gas now being taken by Dark at about 3 minutes and 42 seconds at about 33 workers. And now Serral needs to be ready for a bit of a Roach push. Getting a Roach Warren of his own Evolution Chamber, it is definitely behind Dark's, but Roaches are slow. You can do this. You can get a Roach defensive army up in time before a Roach offensive army reaches you. They're just very, very... Oh, interesting here. I was going to say, they're very slow. It's a Nidus network out of Dark. Is he a 2-base... Okay, that's a good way to solve the problem of Roaches are slow, is you just Nidus your opponent. The question is, where do you put the Nidus? Oh, just right at the front. You put it right at the front door so they don't have to walk clear across the map. I love this out of Dark. I like this so very, very much. So yeah, here comes the Nidus network. It is reaching its climax here, and there's the eruption. Nidus form coming out. Queens leading the charge in case they have to transfuse. And here comes some Roaches. Immediately a Queens are going to pick down this Overlord. Not going to supply block Serral, though. Does actually supply block Serral. All right, fair enough. Also trying to take down another Overlord. Roaches are in here going after drones. This is such a beautiful attack. out of Dark. I'm enjoying it immensely. Ling's running in to play base defense. Roaches popping out for Dark. At the same time, Queens are transfusing each other and the Roaches, but defensive Roaches are now popping from Serral, and suddenly we're outnumbered here, and it looks like we're going to get cleaned out quite nicely. Dark's going to lose everything, and yes, the Nidus Swarm did get picked off there as well. So dang, Serral, skid of his teeth. He lost 8 drones in the process. Nice job bringing the Roaches up to take out some of these workers here at the natural base, and it is 36 to 36 workers. So Serral was up, but Dark was able to go ahead and close that gap on the worker count. Still doesn't have a third base now, and now he's in a little bit of trouble. So going for a Spire. So the answer right now is to go for Spire if you're Dark. If you're stuck on 2 base, you don't have map control at any sense whatsoever. I mean, roach count is 12 to 7 right now. Serral has more roaches. He's going... Does he have Glial Reconstitution? He does not have Glial Reconstitution. Dark is just now starting his. So that said, I don't know, man. The roaches sure from Serral would win a fight in open ground, but I think Dark probably should go for a third base at some point here. That said, the Spire is looking good. Does he have all 4 of his extractors? He definitely has all 4 of his extractors. And Roaches just trying to make sure the Zerglings aren't quite sure what's going on. Nicely done picking those guys off. Those Zerglings couldn't get up to see if there was a base, and there is one coming down now for Dark. So just a little bit later than I necessarily thought he should, but again, it's Dark. Why am I second questioning him? Second guessing him, that's what it is. Second guessing and questioning him. Missile attack here coming in for Serral is going for, again, the Glial Reconstitution now a little bit later. And making some Overlords. Trying to poke in here and make sure there's a base. He does know there's a third base here now. So it's not going to be some crazy 2-base follow-up. Overseer scouting. This is something Serral does so well, you guys. He scouts the Spire with the Overseer. He's going to have this running around for quite some time. There are, in fact, 5 mutas on the way for Dark. Overseer says, did we cancel that third base? No, definitely not. Spore Crawler time says Serral. Spores in all 3 of his mineral lines. Additional queen production coming out here too now. 3 queens coming out of his 3 hatcheries. Does he have a macro? He does not have a macro hatch. He is going for a quick evolution chamber, a second evolution chamber for additional upgrades for his units. And extractor, that was a weird extractor. No, he just canceled it straight up. I'm not sure what that was entirely. Anyway, the mutas do pick off an Overseer. Tries to drop a changeling, but no. Muta's making sure that is their priority. Additional queens are popping just in time for Serral, though. He's going to have 2 queens at every one of these bases, and maybe some at the front here as well. The Muta's trying to get up and see what they can see. Picking off creep tumors. Now, this is map control. This is where you can't really move out because there are roaches. You can defend, right? Your Spore Crawler, trying to get some shots off here. You don't want to engage into the Spore Crawler there. Muta's flying out. A couple drones do get killed. Another Overseer out for Serral, scouting into this third base to see the gas timings. Does see the 5th and 6th gas extractors coming down now for Dark. But yeah, just a couple drones down. No real big deal at all. And then a Hydralisk Den. That's really all you need here. It's just Hydras. The Muta's still trying to do some stuff, but nah, I don't think so. The queen count is too high. The queens do have +1 attack at this point. +1 ground carapace is coming in here too. And yeah, it's just going to be the queens are defending. It's going to be the Spore Crawlers defending here. There's really nothing that Dark can do to do much damage other than have map control again and go for a 4th hatch here. At the same time, Serral going for his 4th hatch across the map at the exact same expansion location. We do have a Lurker Den on the way from Serral. It's a little bit hidden, and yeah, Dark has no idea this is coming. He doesn't know Lurkers are part of the tech. That said, it is a little bit weird to go Lurker when your opponent has Mutalisks. That said, this isn't mass Muta or anything. He has exactly 5 of them on the field. I really don't see him making any more than that. He's going for some more roaches. And what's scouting? The Overseer is continually scouting here. This is something that's so hard to do, but is so worthwhile, especially in ZVZ where your opponent can tech switch on you so fast. Just knowing exactly what they're doing and when they're doing it is invaluable. Drones getting out of, actually thinking about getting out of the main base and deciding not to get out of the main base. That was very weird. Queen's getting some shots off and still, no, did they? Oh, they didn't scout the Lurker Den. Perhaps too worried about worker kills and overlord kills and these, you know, the queens to really do more scouting than that. But these lurkers might very well catch Dark by surprise. Are there any Hydras on the field? There's 1 Hydra on the field. I don't know. I mean, you see a lot of Hydras. You might assume it's just an overreaction to the Mutalisks, or you could also assume a Lurker here. I don't know. I don't know what to expect. Muta's continuing to just fly around, owning the joint a little bit. Again, this isn't mass Muta just because mass Muta can be caught by Hydralisks, can be caught by fungal growth, and that's not a good thing. This is much more sturdy and more dependable. is this Roach Ravager stuff. We do have upgrade down there somewhere, right? This rotates among, there we go. +2/+1 on the ground here for Dark for his Roaches and Ravagers, and +1/+1. So the upgrade advantage here to Dark right now, marching in to that third base a little bit, but guess what? Lurker Spines. Lurker Spines, are there no detection is here for Dark. Now he has an Overseer coming in for the detection, and Roach is going for the counter attack here. The Mutos are trying to kill all of them, and the Intercept is actually on its way from Dark here too, so the Roaches of Serral do decide to push back out. Infestation Pit coming in, additional Hydras in production here too, and the Hydras, if they have the range, if they have the grouped spines, it can be an excellent thing in dealing with these Mutalisks. Great split here. Positioning is everything. Decent concave there from Dark. Serral recognizes it, pulls back, and then gets a better angle himself, allowing the spines to do their work and actually deciding to march up on this. I am not convinced this is the right choice, but the Hydras in the back are able to do a lot of damage. The Ravager stuff is stuff you have to dodge, though. The Corrosive Pile, problematic, and Serral is actually pushing this back. Both players maxed out here at the 10-minute mark. Corrosive Piles landing. And the splits are pretty good by Serral. Not incredible, but they're pretty good here. And he's actually pushing this back by Dark a little bit farther than I thought he'd be able to. Overseer does not dodge the Corrosive Pile for Serral and gets picked off. Dark managed to pick that off and get a little bit lucky there. Lurkers coming in at the front and defending this area is Serral. He doesn't want to lose these Lurker eggs before they actually hatch and turn themselves into Lurkers. Spines getting hits off. No bonus damage versus Ravagers, but a lot of bonus damage versus Roaches. And there are a lot of Roaches on the ground here for Serral. Both players doing the Roach Ravager dance. Roach Ravager Lurker dance right now. When you're maxed out, it's all about compositional choices here. And the Lurkers, if they can sit back and be buffered by other Roaches, are going to be fine. But if they get focused down, they're going to have a hard time. They're not all that tanky. And really, there's usually only a couple of them there. So Smolker pushing in from Serral into this third base of Dark. And this is just, I think this is a suicide mission. Burrowing the Lurkers on the ramp. Really should have burrowed them over here, I think. But yeah, what are these Lurkers doing back here? I guess he's worried about getting surrounded from the backside. But nice concave and then backing in. Lurker getting the heck out of there too. He must have adaptive talons. That was a fast unburrow. Does he not? That was really fast. Another engagement in the middle here. Again, I feel like Dark has the better army, but it doesn't want to engage where the Lurkers are. And as a result, Serral's able to push him back. Lurker here at Dark's fourth base. How many kills do you have? Only the one kill? That's real sad. Another engagement in the middle. Corrosive Piles do pick off a single Lurker there for Serral and chasing Serral's army in full retreat. This Lurker ends up getting 3 kills before he's picked off by the rest of Dark's army. Well, I don't know, not the rest of the army, because armies are being split up quite nicely here by both players. We're not really engaging with everybody at once at this stage. Corrosive Piles getting some shots down. Pushing up the left side is Dark, trying to see if there's a 5th base he needs to take care of, and there's actually not. Both players are pretty content to be on 4 bases here, but again, scouted coming up this left way by Serral. He saw it coming, and as a result, he's able to get that high ground advantage, and Dark doesn't even want to engage there at all. Lurkers. Taking Corrosive. Oh, he has that. No, it's just a fast unburrow is what it is. He doesn't have adaptive talons. There it is. Now he's getting adaptive talons for the quicker burrow. The unburrow is just faster than I expect it to be, I think. I don't know why. These games always feel like they move faster than games that I'm in. And speaking of which, I did play a pretty good 2v2 the other day. Summicron and me played against a Zerg and a Protoss, and it turned into a pretty good back and forth. So I might end up casting that as a bonus Midrick Madness style thing. Bonus Into the Void, as we are gold 2 in 2v2. But Roaches going after some of these drones. Alright, well, protection wasn't there. I'm not sure why he unburrowed there necessarily, but that burrowed Roach is pretty fun stuff. 5th base by Dark coming up. 5th base now on the way from Serral on that right side, and a bit of an engagement here again. Dark trying to get in, but just can't find a favorable position. Look, the Lurker's pre-unburrowing, so the Corrosive Piles can be dodged, and then they immediately burrowing back in. That's awesome. That's absolutely hilarious. The pre-split, you've got the pre-unburrow from the Lurkers. Another engagement here. Corrosive Piles landing. Couple Lurkers and Ravagers getting killed there, but Serral attacking on in. It's +2/+1. The armor upgrades are better for Dark here. I'm not sure why Serral's being so very, very aggressive. The Lurkers burrow, get a couple spines off. Dark retreats again. You do not want to fight where there are Lurkers behind the army that you're fighting, because you will die every single time. Burrow Roach trying to sneak on up, but nope. Overseers everywhere for Dark right now. Resources lost about 12,000 for each. Serral's lost about 600 more. than Dark has, but again, in the grand scheme of things, it's not all that much. Production tab by Dark is insane right now. 3-3 for his Roaches and Ravagers, getting Vipers, getting Lurkers himself, getting more Hydralisks, more Spore Crawlers, which is interesting. I guess for detection, more than anything else, there are no mutas on the field at all for Serral, nor do I think he's ever really going to go for it. Not at this stage. If we're this far in and this much tech, I really don't see a muta tech switch in Serral's future, though it could, I don't know, it could be interesting, I suppose. The problem with a muta tech switch here is that at that point, Dark just goes for your army, and he just base races you, goes for your bases. Yep, Lurker's defending this, defending this third base from Dark exceptionally well. This fifth base of Dark in a little bit of trouble, though. What, Serral, he's worried. He's worried about it. I guess, maybe he wants to attack into this, this fourth base, too, and you know what? He might get it. You know what? Hydra DPS is pretty good stuff here. Corrosive Bile. Wow, the hatch ends up falling. Picks it up. Blinding Cloud on the Lurkers. The Lurkers on Burrow. Get out. Nice abduct, though. Abduct on 3 of the Lurkers and killing them. Blinding Clouding his own units a little bit there and kind of allowing Serral to escape. This base, these Roaches want to take it down. 3 of them are trying to take this thing down. I think they're going to be able to get it. Another attack from Serral at the third base of Dark, though. Doing more work, getting handled and cleaned up fairly well. But the fifth patch ends up falling. For Dark, the third base is in a lot of trouble. It's 67 to 53 workers. Serral has the better economy, but at this stage, when you're effectively maxed out, that just means smaller army. Attacking on into these Lurkers, Serral's doing it because the Lurkers are fairly unsupported, and that's exactly what you want to do, is hit them when there's not an army in front of them, absorbing the damage and allowing the Lurkers to do the damage. So nicely done there. 194 to 141 supply. Serral is up, and he is feeling good. He is feeling good about himself right now. APM for these players has just been insane throughout. Well over 400 on average for both of them for a 16-minute game. And I know you're like, 16 minutes? No, that's macro style, everyone. That is a macro game in Legacy of the Void. I think some people might still have the impression that unless it's 20 minutes long or plus, it's not a macro game. But look at this. We've been macro. We've been maxed out for 6 minutes already. I think that counts. I mean, sure, the longer the game is, the more entertaining it generally is, depending how things go, but I don't know. Some 16, 17-minute games are really, really good. Roach is attacking in, forcing castles on those spines. Serral did throw the spines up in the right idea, just a little bit too late, but his army is able to respond and force this back. 3-2 are the upgrades for Serral. Burrow Roach coming up to Dark and sniping down the fifth patch again, forcing a cancel on that one. This economy, this is a problem. This is officially a problem now. Look at these overlords hovering just out of range of those Hydralisks on the high ground. This is a problem for Dark. He doesn't have the economy that Serral does. He can't take the losses and replace them the way that Serral is able to, since he's being on the fifth base, on the 5 bases. Man, CVZ is such a stressful matchup, especially this late in the game. It can get very, very weird real fast. Lurkers burrowing. Do they have the adaptive talons? They certainly do. Abducting the Vipers. A little bit of turnabout is fair play there. Another Viper down. Both players losing all their Vipers. No, there is 2 swinging back here for Serral. That's huge. Keeping his spellcasters is a big deal. Keeping those alive is going to help him in the long run immensely. Abducting a Lurker. They're trying to get back home, but they're just not quite able to get there. Look at this play. That's what spellcasters can do for you. They can whittle down your opponent's Lurker supply so very nicely. Tacking on again to the third base, picking up a couple more drones and then retreating when discovered. So we're 5 basing it, man. Serral's up about 15 workers to Dark. And I'm not sure why he's pulling this far back, but maybe he feels like it's a job well done. Burrow Roach hiding up here. Oh, they hit a little bit too early, as they could see this hatch come down and force a cancel on it pretty much instantly. I can't believe the Dark continues to send an unescorted drone over here to get this 5th base. He's lost it a couple times already. 6th base on the way from Serral, just south and to the left of his 3rd. 5th base has been largely untouched. Serral's been on the defensive this entire time, it feels like. I mean, not the entire time. There was that one attack by Dark that Serral just barely held on to. Right up here with the Nidus at the front, really, I think, caught him by surprise. Oh, the Roaches did find this. And here goes nothing. 3-3 Roach using their melee attack animation, which is always fun. They don't spit the acid. They force the cancel, they kill the drone, they burrow in, they try to get out, but guess what? There's an Overseer, but not chasing them, strangely enough. Swinging on into the 3rd base again. More drones are going down. The army here is just too big from Serral. I really don't think that Dark can engage right now. It's 155 to 136 army. Okay, so Dark's army is technically bigger. Why does it seem... I guess the Viper count is a big deal. It's 2 Vipers to not that many, as Serral does not want to engage, losing a couple of his Vipers to the Abducts, though. That is the problem with letting the other player dictate the terms. Did they kill another hatchery? These roaches, they're going to die for their crimes, but by golly, have they done a lot of work here today. Amazing amounts of work. Burrow Roach getting into the natural base. They're going to kill a queen. They're going to kill more drones. This is just death by 1,000 cuts by Serral. He hasn't necessarily crushed any major engagement, but he's killed these hatcheries. He's killed a whole bunch of workers. 40 workers he has killed thus far with just little tiny roach attacks and pokes and that lurker over at the 4th base a few minutes ago. It's really amazing stuff. 6 base done by Serral, so 4 base to 6 base is not where you want to be if you are Dark. I can guarantee you that much. +3 ground carapace finally coming up for Serral. Dark's had it for what feels like 5 or 6 minutes, but it really hasn't slowed down Serral all that much. If I had to say how much it slowed him down, I would say not very much at all. Lurker tried to get through here, but Spine Crawler, Spore Crawler, not going to happen. I think that was a Changeling too. Another Overseer on the way from Serral. Both players maxed out. The bank is better for Serral, though. As we attack on in, here we go. Hydra's doing a lot of action here. A lot of Vipers just went down there. For Dark, he still has 1 with his army, but that count is not what he wants it to be. It's only 2 to 1, though. 5 more Vipers on the way from Serral. That's the difference. If Serral can afford to replace his Vipers, once again, Lurker's causing major problems for these roaches. There's another attack of roaches at the 3rd base of Dark. Engagement. The 6th base by Serral is going to die, but he's willing to sack that at this stage because guess what? The 5th base of Dark, it got finished, but now there's Hydras over here. They're going to kill every drone. They're going to kill the Overlords. They're going to kill this hatchery. The 3rd base is trying to be defended as best as he can. Major engagement at the front. Dark pulling back from that one. He does not like the Lurker count. Does not like the look of that at all. And here come the Hydras. Nope, Roaches in here to try to stop this, but no, coming in a few at a time. And there we go. Now the Roaches should be able to clean this thing out and end up saving the hatch. So a lot of drones died, but at least the hatch ends up living for now. 191 to 150 supply. Army supply now 138 to 114. Serral has that army lead that he wanted, making 8 Hydralisks to kind of round out his army. 6th base by Serral under attack here. Again, Dark thinks he might force a cancel on it if he's not as worried about... There we go. Not as worried about Serral's army. Another 6th base coming up the top left-hand corner. We'll call that a 7th. Lurker manages to get down here and burrow. Oh, it unburrows and tries to flee, but that's not very good at all. See how both players just refuse to super engage? At least Dark has throughout this entire game. Another base on the way from Serral. This is it for Dark. I just don't know how you come back from this. You need to win this engagement, but that Viper count is humongous right now. Blinding Cloud's going to be big. It's going to be really hard to deal with. I mean, yeah, here it is. And the Vipers come in. Blinding Cloud, those Hydralisks. The Hydras are forced to retreat from that location. They can't really move forward because that's a bad thing because, again, there are Lurkers in the ground as those holes indicate that quickly disappear, by the way. So 7th base by Serral just about done. 8th base by Serral just about done. 5th base by Dark is up. So that's good for him, but Serral's okay with it. I mean, this is going to be the source of income for Dark for a little bit here. He still is mining from his 4th. And his 3rd has a few mineral patches remaining, but not all that many additional Hydralisks. Again, what is his Hydra count? It is 45 Hydralisks, 6 Lurkers, and a Ravager as the endgame composition here, with some Vipers for Blinding Cloud. And these 3/3 Hydras are just tearing through what remains. There are no Lurkers on the ground here. It's just Hydra versus Hydra. A Viper is remaining for Dark. It might get abducted, though. The Lurker's burrowing on in. Blinding Cloud on both sides right now. Viper gets killed. Another abduct there. Marching forward through Blinding Cloud. Both players are there, and that's a good game out of Dark. Dark taps out. We'll look at that final battle again here. Yeah, man, it was just mass 3/3 Hydra with a whole ton of Vipers in the sky. 6 of them in the sky compared to the 2 that Dark was able to afford. Small engagement over here doing not a whole lot, but yeah, both players blinding, clouding. The Viper, 2 Vipers die from Dark almost instantly. There are still several remaining here. It's 197.88, and yep, that was it. So fantastic display there from Serral. Just toe-to-toe with one of the greatest Zergs in the entire world right now. Dark is abjectly terrifying in most circumstances, but Serral, after he held that early attack, that early Roach Nidus attack, just, again, it was not an easy hold. He might have looked a little bit easy when you watched Serral do it, but seriously, he was losing drones. He was holding with queens and zerglings and a couple roaches and just barely managed to get it. And that's what it was. Just barely got the units out in time. That is the pinnacle of Zerg, is making your army exactly when you need it, and not a second sooner. So fantastic ZVZ. Dark ended up losing 41,000 resources to 36 for Serral. And yeah, it's just denying this 5th base repeatedly was humongous. Sure, you can have 4 bases, says Serral. That 4th is fine, but the 5th base is not going to happen. I'm going to keep poking into your 3rd. Going to keep killing your drones. 52 workers killed. And this is not a game where Serral was crushing through Dark's base at the end there. It's not. That is something where he worked hard and got 52 drone kills of Dark during the course of the game in times when other stuff was going on. So just masterful. Masterful from Serral. Really, really did earn his victory at BlizzCon, and I can't wait to see what he does in 2019. Okay, well, that's going to be it from me. This has been Falcon Paladin coming at you with yet another edition of StarCraft 2 Legacy of the Void. Go ahead and hit that like button. Hit that subscribe if you like what you saw and what you heard today. You can also catch me on Twitter, Facebook, Patreon, and Twitch, all at /Falcon Paladin. And until next time, as always, thank you so much for watching, and you take care of yourself.